All right, hey guys, so check it out. We're going to talk web servers now. So let's get into it. Now, very simply, a web server is a computer that stores, processes, and delivers website files to web browsers. So web servers will consist of hardware and software that use Hypertext Transfer Protocol, HTTP, right? And it uses all of this to respond to web users' requests made via the World Wide Web. So it's throughout this process, web servers load and deliver the requested page to the user's browser, like Google Chrome or whatever your favorite browser is. Web servers also use Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, or SMTP, as well as File Transfer Protocol, FTP, to process files for email or storage. So then what is a web server actually made of? Well, on the hardware side, a web server connects to the internet, which enables it to exchange data or files between other devices that are likewise connected. And this data can come in different forms, such as HTML files, images, JavaScript files, or CSS style sheets. See, web server hardware will also store web server software. It's the web server software that controls how web users access hosted files. It's going to consist of several components housing at least an HTTP server. An HTTP server is the software that can understand the HTTP requests as well as URLs. All right, so how does this all work? Web servers follow a client-server model. So in this structure, one program, also known as a client, requests a resource or service from another program, the server. So to process web clients' requests, web servers follow a few certain steps in the right order. Step 1. When a web user wants to load a website's content, their web browser requests access through the internet. This is called an HTTP request. The web browser looks for the requested website's IP address by translating the URL of the web pages via the domain name system, DNS, or by searching through its cache if they've been there before. So this process will locate the web server where the site's files are hosted. Then the web server receives this HTTP request and processes it through its HTTP server. And then once its HTTP server accepts the request, it will search through server files to obtain the relevant data. And then after all that, the web server returns the site files to the web browser that sent the request. Then the web user gets to see the website content. However, if the HTTP server fails to find or process the requested files, it'll respond to the web browser with an error message. And one of the most common is a 404 error, but a 403 error may also appear if there's permission issues. But on the other hand, if a web server fails to receive a timely response from another server acting as a proxy or gateway, a 504 error is returned. Now, these web servers can serve static or dynamic content. A static web server consists of a computer and HTTP software. Static web servers send a website's files back to a web browser without any changes. A dynamic web server consists of a static web server plus some extra software. And this additional software most commonly consists of an application server and databases. So then dynamic web servers essentially update hosted files before delivering them via an HTTP server. So this enables it to generate and send dynamic content to a web browser. Now, aside from supporting HTTP protocols to process incoming requests and responses, most web servers offer the following standard features. File logging. Log files, documents, any events or activities web servers perform, such as requests, security, and error logs. So each time a web server receives a new request, a line of text is added to the log. Authentication. Many servers offer this feature before permitting partial or complete access to a website's resources. Authentication features often involve authorization requests when a username and password are required. Also, bandwidth limiting. A web server's bandwidth is the amount of data it can transfer or process at any given time. Bandwidth limiting controls the speed of responses to ensure that a network is not oversaturated and can deliver files smoothly. Storage space. This will refer to the amount of disk space available to store files, which determines whether a web server can host a website or not. So a web server includes some other essential elements, such as programming language. A web server's programming language is a type of code used to develop programs executed by a server, also known as server-side scripting languages. Examples of popular programming languages include PHP and Python. Uptime. So server uptime tracks the amount of time a web server is functional and can process requests or deliver files. A server's uptime also affects when a hosted website is operational. That's known as website uptime. The industry standard is currently 99.9% guaranteed. So web servers have three primary uses. The first is hosting multiple websites or web applications. Secondly, they process File Transfer Protocol, or FTP requests. They'll also send and receive emails. Now, web servers host websites so that they're accessible over the internet. This is why web servers' features and functions focus on creating and maintaining a hosting environment. Now, if you want to create and publish a website, you'll need access to a web server. The most convenient way to do this is through web hosting. So web hosting is that service that provides your website with server space to store its files, assets, and databases. But not only that, a web hosting provider's role is also to ensure servers run seamlessly. It involves performing backups and caching, security monitoring, as well as general maintenance. Now, some of the main benefits to having a web host monitor and maintain the web server where your website is hosted will include these. Optimal uptime and performance. A web host takes care of hardware maintenance and software issues, and doesn't that help improve website performance and uptime? Secure servers. Web hosts implement effective security protocols to reduce vulnerabilities and protect hosted websites against malware or cyber attacks. Also have a variety of hosting plan options, so site owners can choose a hosting plan with different features and functions depending on their needs. This makes it cost-effective. Site owners don't have to maintain a dedicated server and can instead choose a hosting plan that provides a necessary amount of server resources. And that gives everybody flexibility. See, web hosts offer scalable plans, so website owners can obtain additional hosting resources like storage or bandwidth as needed. Now, some of the most popular examples of web servers include these: Apache HTTP Server, a free and open-source web server used for many operating systems, including Windows, Linux, and Mac OS X. Apache is the oldest web server software and one of the go-tos for website owners, developers, and hosting providers, with a market share of over 31%. Nginx. This is a famous open-source web server software that initially only functioned for HTTP web serving. It's now also used as a reverse proxy, HTTP load balancer, and email proxy. Nginx is known for its speed and ability to handle multiple connections, which is why many high-traffic websites use its services. Microsoft Internet Information Services, or IIS. So IIS is a closed web server software. It's developed by Microsoft, widely used in Windows operating systems. LightTPD. This is a free and open-source web server software that's known for its speed while requiring less CPU power. LightTPD is also popular for having a small memory footprint. So a web server is a computer that stores, processes, and delivers website files. It consists of hardware and software, with each playing a distinctive role in processing files. Moreover, different types of web servers can deliver dynamic content or static content to a web browser. But regardless of the type, web servers come with some standard features, including file logging, authentication, bandwidth limiting, and storage space. Now, their primary function is to host websites, process HTTP requests, and deliver web content to users. Thus, to have your website accessible online, you either need your own web server or consider web hosting. Now, having chosen the latter, a web host will be responsible for the server, guaranteeing its security and performance. Doing so also gives you more time to focus on other business and website growth aspects. All right, my friends, let's wrap up this lesson. Now you know about web servers. I'll see you next time.